Well, very good afternoon and happy Friday. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, there are more joining by the minute. So lovely to see you. We are having a another minor heat wave in the UK, which, as you know, we're not used to dealing with, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I hope you've all had a good week, and we are going to look at some of our favourite hotels and share. Can you enable screen sharing, Lisa, please? Um, we thought it would be useful because there are little pockets of hotels that are in a very different style and all quite close together and offering really quite different environments and facilities and so on for your guests. And I'm sure that you are very used to trying out all these beautiful hotels and so on when you travel. But two of them are very new, so you might not yet have had chance to try out Monkey Island and the Langley. And they really are both absolutely beautiful. So we're just going to run through and share just some of the highlights of three of our guests' increasingly favourite hotels. Clifden, to start off with, and I'm sure most of you are very aware of the absolute beauty of Clifden, and it really suits clients who really love the history and the splendor and the glamour, if you like, of our history. So people who generally they love our royal family and all of the castles and palaces and that sort of thing. So it really is beautiful. Now, the slightly unusual thing about Clifden is that the 360 acres of ground that surround it, which are absolutely stunning and go down to the river in this sort of sweeping parkland. But the grounds are owned by the National Trust. So there are obviously a lot of people who visit the grounds and are not hotel guests, but are wandering around and having a lovely family day. So for clients who want something a little more secluded, then Clifden might not be the choice for them. Having said that, when you are inside the hotel, the splendor of the rooms is just breathtaking. There was a huge renovation project, golly, about 10 years ago now, and Clifden had really been let to go downhill horribly. And all of that has changed, and it is back to its absolute former glory with all of the beautiful furnishings and paintings, and the attention to detail is just stunning. The Lady Astor room is quite beautiful, and you imagine the views whether your clients are staying at the front of the house, front of the hotel, or the back. They can choose to look out over the parterre or down towards the Fountain of Love that Lord Astor had commissioned for his darling wife. So it's absolutely beautiful, and the setting is fabulous. And it has recently, I think the new spa reopened about September, October last year. And my golly, they have done an amazing job. It really is beautiful. And there's the fabulous indoor and outdoor pool. The outdoor pool, rather famously, all linked to the Profumo scandal back in the 60s. Bit of British history, but it's just wonderful. And they have the beautiful dining room, the main dining room in the hotel, serving absolutely fabulous food and a slightly more formal environment. And then the Astor Grill, which is in the old stables, and they've done it beautifully. And that's slightly more informal. And what Clifton have started doing actually is a lot more interesting events. So they have their own literary festival, and they have all sorts of talks and and events, things like that throughout the year. So certainly when we're talking to you about clients coming to stay, if Clifden is an option that you're thinking about, we can obviously let you know of any events. But it really is just lovely, and the entrance to Clifden does normally take people's breath away. So here you can see one of the bedrooms and the inside of the spa, which is just lovely. And the that's the on the bottom right is the dining room overlooking the parterre, and it's really a magical view throughout the year, actually throughout the year. Um, and there we have again a view of the parterre and beautiful spring cottage. Now, the spring cottage can be rented individually, so you can your clients can take over the whole of the cottage if they want to, which is really rather lovely. And Clifden is certainly very well known for its afternoon teas. And whether your clients choose to have that in the dining room, or we can have it all beautifully wrapped up and they can enjoy it while cruising up and down the River Thames from the Clifden mooring, which is a rather lovely thing to do. An early evening champagne afternoon tea cruise is rather magical, just to put it mildly. So we'll talk about location and so on in a minute, but the Langley is a newer um, a sort of joiner to the area, and opened last year. It was a former hunting lodge for the Duke of Marlborough, and they have renovated it absolutely beautifully. It's quite a bit smaller than Clifden, and it's far more classic rather than ornate. And as you can see, the design is really picking up a sort of quite a continental feel almost. But they have done a magnificent job of and really retained all of the beautiful traditional features and so on. So it's been incredibly well thought out. And because there are rooms within the main building and then some lovely slightly more quirky rooms in the barn just across the way. But there's a lovely intimate feeling to it, because it is that bit smaller. It's still set in about 150 acres, so there's still plenty of woodland and parkland and a rather fantastic lake that the grounds lead down onto. And the way they have designed the bar and the main dining room, sorry, the main restaurant and so on, is that they all look out onto these beautiful grounds and down to the lake. So it's a rather stunning view. Again, there's the more sort of formal and relaxed dining options, and they couldn't build a separate spa, so they went downwards. And this the spa, I have to say, is probably one of the most beautiful I've seen. And they have lots of facilities for if your clients want to have a family day, for example, in the spa, they can cut parts of it off, so they have complete privacy and they can have treatments and just make the most of all of the facilities. Or obviously there are the open bits, but it's they've done a really beautiful job at the Langley, and the staff are absolutely superb. They had a couple of teething problems, as I imagine every hotel does when they first open. Um, but also the wine cellar and the tasting area of the restaurant, they can enjoy private dining and with all of the wine pairings created by obviously the sommelier and so on. So there's a lovely it's ideal for one day or sorry, one night or one week, because if you were there for a day or two, you almost wouldn't have to go anywhere else. It's just lovely. So here are some of the pictures of the rooms, and as you can see, there's a light feel to it all. They've used the whole layout of the building really beautifully. That's the private dining and wine cellar that you can see on the bottom left, and the beautiful pool which overlooks the grounds and so on. So they've done a stunning job, really beautiful job. Now, oh, apologies, bit of a typo there. The newest kid on the block is Monkey Island, which is just moments from Bray, and is thought to have got its name from a group of monks back in the 12th century. Anyway, today there isn't a monk in sight, but there is a rather fabulous hotel that opened again late last year. And they've done a really super job. Again, it's the good old Duke of Marlborough, but this time it was a fishing retreat that he opened in 1763. And the lovely thing about Monkey Island that's different to the other two is a really lovely secluded feeling to it. You gain access to it over a little footbridge, which is very sweet and all fine, even for wheelchair access and all that sort of thing. Um, but the island itself, they've really preserved the areas where you can go wandering, and the sort of the bird life and the all of the trees and so on. The layout of the island is absolutely beautiful. And because the hotel is the only building on the island, it's wonderful. And as I say, it's very close to Bray, and Bray has Hester Blumenthal's the fat duck that we talked to you about, and the Hind's Head, and the beautiful Waterside Inn, owned by the Roux brothers, and that they are probably about a 10-minute boat ride from the hotel, which is a rather lovely way to arrive, or a really short car journey. So the opportunities for food, and I'm not saying the food in the hotel isn't good, because it is. It's absolutely superb. But it's lovely to have the choice to go a bit, go and explore the area. Now, one of the lovely things about Monkey Island is the option of the using the cottages. And actually, we had booked a one of the big cottages for it was for a family of 8 who should have been actually arriving next Tuesday, bless them. And the wonderful thing about the cottages is it gives the clients their own space. So if you have got a family group or a group of friends who want to have somewhere that they can, their own sort of private sitting room and that sort of thing, the cottages are absolutely stunning, and they vary in size, but they're obviously within the grounds, and if the guests just wander into the main building for breakfast and to make full use of the facilities. So they're absolutely part of the hotel, but it does give a really lovely feeling. And for this family who were due to arrive next week, they loved the idea of being able to have their space and time, and there's a lovely garden area and so on, but also have all of the facilities of a beautiful 5-star hotel. And also from experience, I know a lot of your clients, in general, our American clients ask us for bigger hotel rooms. Us Brits seem to put up with smaller ones. The rooms in the main building, in the temple as it's known, not they're not huge. They're a decent size, but they're certainly not huge. In which case, that's when the cottages can come into their own. So it's anyway, we're happy to share more information with you. Now, when they started working on turning it into a hotel, they were absolutely not allowed to do any building. So very creatively, they have a floating spa, which is just magnificent. There's a real sort of nautical feel to this beautiful spa that is actually in a boat that is moored up right on the island. So excuse me, they do all of the fabulous treatments and all that sort of thing. But it's certainly, well, it's certainly a one-off as far as I'm aware. I mean, there may be another floating spa somewhere or other, but certainly not that I've come across. So it's very different, but it certainly works. I was a bit skeptical, but it really does work. And the brasserie is really magical. They've kept this lovely sort of again a sort of quite an intimate feel with the low ceilings and so on. So you can see some of the images here. It really is just lovely, and it's that lovely sort of island feel to it of being quite tucked away, which is a very different feel from Clifden. That the building on the bottom left there is I think that's White Cloud Cottage. So you can see it may be a cottage, but they're a decent size and absolutely beautiful, and the lovely terrace just looking out across the island and down to the river. So they've done a really super job with it, and I think it's going to become a bit of a favourite. It's a shame, obviously, they've had to close so soon after opening, but they're going to be up and running again before we know it, which is wonderful. So location-wise, they are all three hotels are within sort of 5 or 10 minutes of each other. So in that area, it's just slightly northwest of London, within 40 to 50 minutes, depending on the time of day from the city itself, and really easy and quick access to Oxford and Windsor. Henley and Marlow are lovely, little riverside towns that are easily accessible. So they're all very well located and quite near to some of the main motorways and so on for easy access to wherever it is they would like to go. But it's interesting to have three very different styled hotels, all within such a close radius. But it means that they'll probably cater for pretty much everyone's tastes. Now, as always, there's more information and so on the website and so on. But I hope that's been helpful when you're thinking about um, where your clients want to stay, because much as obviously we believe the experiences are so very important, the starting and ending the day somewhere beautiful that you feel at home, you feel comfortable, and it feels a bit like a second home for a few days is all important. And we would certainly recommend all three hotels, just for different reasons. A bit like somebody who isn't particularly flashy and so on wouldn't particularly enjoy dinner at the Fat Duck. They'd go to the waterside. Somebody who wants more of an experience would go to the Fat Duck. So there's pretty much something for everybody, which is wonderful. So, are there any questions? Can I answer anything that I might have missed out? Oh, thanks, Debbie. I think, did you mean Clifden about the food? And the food is certainly absolutely wonderful. So no, everyone's happy with.
Yes, I meant Clifden. Sorry.
That's fine.
I've been there twice. It's been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It really is. Was that in the main restaurant, in the main building?
Yes, the main restaurant. Yeah.
It's quite an experience being eating in there. And we will always ask for your clients to have tables at the window, because that view over the parterre is really quite magical. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been lovely to see you. And we are, as you know, changing a bit as from next week. Oh, thank you, Brian. 2 new hotels, wonderful. So as from next week, our tea and training events will be every Wednesday. So Wednesday, 5 o'clock for us, midday for some of you, 9 o'clock in the morning for others. We look forward to seeing you there. And we've decided that as next Wednesday should be the first day of Henley Royal Regatta, which sadly isn't happening, obviously, this year. But if you've got clients that you're starting to talk to about maybe some lovely plans for 2021, we certainly are. We're even planning a birthday party for a client in December 2021. How's that for forward planning? So if you're talking to clients about things to do in the summer next year, we're going to give you the absolute inside track about Henley Royal Regatta, because hand on heart, I can say nobody does regatta like we do. We live in Henley, we work in Henley, and we know regatta inside out and back to front. So again, there are very different ways of enjoying a day there, but absolutely making the most of it is what it's all about. So please do join us. We'll share some wonderful video footage and all sorts of this incredible event that takes place in the English season every year, and it would be great to share more with you. So thank you for joining us. Wishing you a wonderful weekend. We're very excited because everything's starting to open up again. And if you see Humphreys TV, you might have received the links to Humphreys TV. We're celebrating our own mini Independence Day on the 4th of July next Saturday. Admittedly, it is not after 180 years of colonial rule, which is your cause for celebration, but 3 months of lockdown. We are going to celebrate the end of that next Saturday, so there'll be celebrations both sides. So thank you for joining us. It would be lovely to see you next Wednesday, and have a super weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.